Buddy, have you ever felt that punch in the gut when you realize a woman has completely lost respect for you? That moment you finally get it. You're basically irrelevant in her life. Suddenly, the way she looks at you changes. That sparkle in her eye disappears. The vibe between you two is about as lively as a funeral. Maybe she made it crystal clear and dumped you outright. Or worse, she started treating you with all the enthusiasm of watching paint dry cold, indifferent, bored out of her mind. And of course, you panic. You text her, ask what's wrong, try being sweeter, more attentive, more. Whatever it is she clearly doesn't want. And guess what? The harder you chase, the more pathetic you look. So now what, genius? What are you gonna do? Well, if you keep acting like the typical doormat, we already know the ending. Forgotten, replaced, and reduced to a footnote in her story. But chill, there's still hope. If you understand what I'm about to show you, not only can you get her respect back, you can make her wonder if she was a total fool for tossing you aside. Because in the end, this whole game was never about her. It's always been about you. Want to get her respect back and, more importantly, your own self-respect? Then pay attention all the way through. What I'm about to tell you might be your last chance to climb out of mediocrity and finally understand what makes a man genuinely respected. But first, a straightforward disclaimer. This video only exists because someone before you had the decency to hit like and subscribe. So if you want to keep soaking up this content for free, do your part. Like the video, subscribe, and drop a thank you down below. Not for me, I don't care, but for the glorious algorithm that decides whether this supreme wisdom reaches other lost souls like you. Alright, enough chit-chat. Let's cut to the chase. 1. The biggest reason you lost her respect. Let's get right to it, because life's already full of fluff. You want to know why you lost her respect? Great, but I'll tell you up front. It has nothing to do with her liking bad boys. It's not the universe conspiring against you, and it's definitely not because you're too nice. You lost her respect because you cast yourself as her doormat. Simple as that. Every time you acted desperate for her attention, every time you accepted a handful of emotional crumbs as if it were a feast, every time you treated her like a queen while she saw you as a servant, congratulations. That was the moment you declared your own irrelevance. And you know what happens when a man becomes irrelevant? He's disposable. Women don't suddenly lose respect for a guy out of nowhere. At some point, she looked at you and realized your presence was about as remarkable as a piece of furniture in the living room. Maybe you were that guy blowing up her phone, always available, patiently waiting while she went out, lived her life, had fun, and only remembered you when she needed something, and worse. Maybe you were the classic, nice guy with an agenda, thinking that if you're just sweet enough, eventually you'll earn the grand prize her love. Let me give it to you straight. No anesthesia. Women don't respect a man who gives everything but isn't valued. If you're always there, always accessible, always ready to please, she'll never miss you. She'll never see you as someone with real worth because you don't treat yourself like you have it. So quit thinking being super nice is gonna get you anywhere. It won't. Respect comes from one thing, being a man who values himself. And now, my friend, I'm going to show you exactly how to stop being a side character in your own story. 2. The feminine instinct to test. Men and how you failed miserably. Now that you get why you've been demoted to an extra in her life, we need to talk about something most guys don't even realize is happening. Women's tests. And before you freak out, thinking this is some kind of evil plot, take a breath. It's not a sadistic game or a global conspiracy against poor men. This is pure biology. Women test men instinctively. It's like they have a built-in value detector. They want to see if the guy standing in front of them is emotionally strong, or if he falls apart at the first little poke. And here's the kicker. If she lost respect for you, congratulations. You've already flunked those tests without even knowing it. Maybe she disappeared for a few hours just to see if you'd lose your mind and sent her a soap opera-worthy text. Maybe she dropped another guy's name in conversation just to see if you'd freak out like an insecure teenager. Or worse, maybe she suddenly turned cold, distant, disinterested. just to see if you'd grovel, desperately trying to fix the situation. And you know what happens when you respond to these tests with desperation, insecurity, or clinginess? You instantly label yourself as weak. And what does a guy who's not weak do when he's tested? Nothing. He doesn't flip out. He doesn't send a book-length text. He doesn't break a sweat trying to prove he's different from other guys. He just keeps on living his life like nothing happened. And that's when the magic happens. She doesn't get it. She was expecting the usual show, the insecure dude trying to prove he's worthy of her love. But when she sees you couldn't care less, something she might have never felt before creeps in. Curiosity. And curiosity, my friend, is the first step to attraction. The truth is, women always test men. The only difference between the guys who earn respect and those who become laughingstocks is how they handle these tests. Now that you know this, let's talk about the most pathetic mistake guys make when they realize they've lost a woman's respect. And this mistake is so humiliating, it practically defines cringe. 3. The humiliating mistake of trying to convince her to like you. If there's one classic, downright embarrassing mistake that nearly every rejected guy makes, it's this: trying to convince a woman to like him. And listen, if you've ever done this, congrats. You've achieved the remarkable feat of being the human version of an annoying pop-up ad nobody wants to see, because every time you argue, justify yourself, or try to explain why she should give you a chance, all she sees is a man begging for validation. And you know what's more of a turnoff than that? Absolutely nothing. Maybe you've believed in that romantic fantasy that if you're attentive, kind, and show what a good guy you are, she'll open her eyes and realize how wonderful you are. But here's the cold, hard truth. Nobody is attracted to someone who has to plead their case as a good choice. You ever see a truly confident man writing paragraphs explaining why he deserves to be loved? No. Exactly. You know why? Because high-value men don't try to sell themselves. They just are valuable. So if you've ever sent an emotional text trying to fix things, if you've ever begged for a talk to clear the air, if you've ever tried to remind her how happy you used to be together, stop. Right. Now. It doesn't work. It never did. And it never will. The only thing that might make a woman reconsider you is realizing she lost a man of value. And a man of value never tries to convince anyone of anything. Now that this lesson has been hammered into your brain, let's move on to the most crucial part: how she sees you after rejecting you, and what you can do to flip the script. And if you're tired of being the emotional punching bag, the doormat who takes whatever crumbs she gives and then gets tossed aside like yesterday's trash whenever she feels like it, then wake up, my man. It's time to drop this clown role and turn the tables. There's a digital book I left for you down in the description. Read it now because it'll show you how to be a genuine challenge, never bow your head again, and put any woman in her place without pity or remorse. Stop letting people walk all over you and toss you out like a cheap extra. Either learn to value yourself or keep getting treated like a nobody. Your call. 4. How will she see you after she rejects you? Alright, so you got shot down. Now here's the million-dollar question. How does she see you now? Well, buddy, there are only 2 possible answers. If you reacted like the classic desperate guy pushing, begging, trying to prove you're a nice guy, then you can forget it. You're irrelevant. She now sees you as a dull, predictable nobody. The kind of guy who's good for carrying bags at the mall, listening to her vent about some trash boyfriend, and of course getting ignored when she has no more use for him. But if you know how to act like a real man, you can still turn this around. How? You vanish. That's right. Poof. Disappear. Drop off her radar with 0 warning. No drama, no farewells, no sad social media posts meant to send subtle hints. Nothing. You just cease to exist in her world. No texts, no instant replies, no "Hey, how have you been?" out of the blue. And you know what happens then? Her brain short circuits. All of a sudden, she starts thinking, "Wait, where is he? Did he forget about me? Is he seeing someone else?" And without meaning to, she starts feeling something she never really had before: curiosity. And as I said, curiosity is the first spark of interest. But here's the thing. The goal isn't to make her miss you. That's just a side effect. The real goal is for you to show you don't need her. Because a man who doesn't need a woman is exactly the kind of man she suddenly notices all over again. Now that you get that, let's take it to the next step. How to turn rejection into the biggest plot twist of your life. 5. The transformation, how to get her respect back. This is the most crucial part, because rejection by itself isn't the real problem. The real problem is what you do afterward. And let me be blunt. You'll never regain her respect if you stay the same pathetic guy she rejected. If you want her perception of you to change, you have to change first. And before you go getting any brilliant ideas about posting cryptic messages online, hooking up with random people just to prove a point, or trying to make her jealous, let me burst your bubble. That's immature, insecure nonsense. Real transformation happens when you become a true man. And that means doing 5 essential things. Completely disappear from her radar. If you're still around liking her posts, watching her stories, and staying in touch, congratulations. You're still a ghost with zero dignity. If you never leave, she'll never feel your absence. So cut contact for real. Not for her sake, but for yours. Stop living in her shadow and start focusing on what really matters. Your own evolution. Take care of your body and style. Deny it all you want, but looks do matter. And no, it's not about impressing women. It's about you looking in the mirror and seeing a strong, confident man. If you're out of shape, start working out. If you dress like a background character from a 90s show, learn how to clean up. Small details can make a massive difference in how you feel and how others see you. Build an interesting social circle. If your social life revolves around her, or if you're living like a hermit in your little cave, that has to change now. High-value men are always surrounded by interesting people. Expand your social circle. Meet new folks, explore new places. Do something with your life besides drooling over a woman. Have a bigger purpose. If your life's grand objective is finding a girlfriend, then I don't even need to say it, you've already lost. Men who know where they're going, who have a powerful purpose, are automatically more attractive. So stop everything right now and ask yourself, what are you building? What drives you? If the answer is nothing, it's time to change that ASAP. Be unpredictable and selective. You know what women don't respect? A guy who's always on standby, ready to please, willing to cancel everything just to see her. Be a man with priorities. Selective men don't chase. They make women realize they need to earn a spot in their lives. Now that you get how to transform yourself, the big question pops up. At some point, is it worth reaching out again? That's exactly what we'll talk about next. 6. When and how to reach out again. So you've gone through the transformation. Now the big question, is it worth hitting her up again? And the answer is simple. Only if you genuinely want to. A lot of guys, once they rebuild themselves, realize that woman who seemed so special actually wasn't all that. But if for some reason you can't explain, you still feel it's worth taking that step, then there are some unbreakable rules to do it without humiliating yourself. Never reach out as her friend. If you send a, "Hey, how are you?" with no purpose, congrats. You just turned into that puppy wagging its tail, coming back for more. Know what happens next? She instantly sees you're still interested, which automatically knocks you down a peg and hands her all the power again. Translation, you just trashed all your progress. Be casual and carefree. If you decide to initiate contact, do it in a light, easygoing way. No emotional baggage or whiff of neediness. Don't say I've missed you. Don't say I've been thinking about you a lot. Don't bring up old memories. If you strike up a conversation, keep it natural and unforced, no expectations. No guilt tripping, no trying to fake intimacy. Show that your life moved on. The only thing that can change how she views you is realizing you've evolved. If she senses you're still the same guy she rejected, she'll keep on ignoring you. But if she sees you've leveled up, that your life is better, that you've become stronger, more confident, more interesting, now that can flip the script. Which brings us to something you've got to be ready for. What if she's the one who comes back around? Yep, that can happen. If it does, you need to know exactly how to respond. 7. The psychological factor when she tries to come back. If you nailed everything up to this point, there's a high chance that at some point, she'll come sniffing around again. She might come right out and text you out of the blue, acting like she never brushed you off. She might do it subtly liking your posts, watching all your stories, or trying to spark some casual conversation. Or she could be indirect, mentioning your name to mutual friends just to see if she can still control you. So what do you do now, Einstein? The answer is simple. Nothing. That's right. Absolutely nothing. You know why? Because her reaching out doesn't necessarily mean she wants to get back together. Most of the time, it's just because she realized she lost the power she once had over you. And when someone realizes they lost something they took for granted, their instinct is to try and get it back. Now, if in this moment you jump for joy, reply too quickly, or show you still care, congratulations, you fell right into her trap. She might give you a bit of attention again, but as soon as she feels you're back in the palm of her hand, the disdain returns. So what's the right way to handle it? Reply casually without overdoing it. Don't rush to respond. Never bring up the past. Be selective. Only continue the convo if there's a real reason to. Because now, my friend, you're the one who decides if she's worthy of a spot in your life. And that, in the end, is a real man's power. The power to choose. Now you finally understand why you lost her respect. And, more importantly, you get that it was never her fault. It was yours. But here's the best part. You have the power to flip this script. Because at the end of the day, this game was never about her. It's always been about you. Your mindset, your attitude, your value. If you keep being the same clingy, predictable, emotionally fragile guy, the result will always be the same. Rejection, disrespect, and frustration. But if you transform yourself, rebuild yourself, become a real man, then not only this woman, but any woman will see you in a whole new light. And the coolest part? You won't even care. Because a high-value man doesn't chase, he chooses. So now it's up to you. Are you gonna keep crawling for attention, settling for scraps, and ending up at the bottom of the line? Or will you become the kind of man who commands respect and has women looking at him in pure admiration? If your answer is that second option, then start now. Transform yourself now. And turn this rejection into the best gift you ever got. Now drop a comment down below. What's the dumbest thing you've ever done for a woman? Let's see how far the humiliation can go.